Pokémon officially went fully 3D in 2013 with Pokémon X and Y, and whilst these games and what games came after are fun in their own right, the franchise's first attempt at a true 3D adventure was knocked right out of the park in a now often forgotten spin-off from 2004. So in this video, I'll be talking about why Pokémon Colosseum is, in my view, the very best Pokémon game. And yeah, talk about making a first impression. The game begins with the player character Wes blowing up the base of the evil team of the region, and with a grin he steals a mysterious machine that fits snugly on his arm, and makes a getaway on his steampunkish motorbike with an Espeon and Umbreon in their own seat, which is very cute. Now the game properly starts off in a rundown bar that looks like a train, and like, what a cool design for a bar. Like, if this was real, I would go here. On the TV, a news report shows off our handiwork on the base of Team Snaggin, who are known for stealing Pokemon from trainers. When leaving, we get challenged to a battle by Rider Willy. Come on, what a name. They've got to have known what they were doing with that name, Rider Willy. Every battle in Colosseum is a double battle, which is a really neat concept since it allows for different strategies and team compositions that would be much less commonly used in the primarily single battle focused games. It's a great change of pace and I really like it. After the battle, the next destination is the nearby... I've never had to say this word out loud. I've never had to say most of the words of these towns out loud. Phoenix City, which is a lovely looking oasis type area in the desert that is the Ore region, and we've just walked in on some kidnapping, human trafficking, and Pokemon. Oh my goodness. We save the captured woman who's named Rui and agree to take her to see the mayor for advice, and just before we do, it just so happens we come across a man who totally isn't the main villain. Like, this man looks like you ordered Sephiroth off of Wish.com. Like, this design is crazy. Anyway, Escade is the dummy, thick mayor who promises to investigate the strange goings-on, but advises us to visit the stadium in the meantime. We can't do anything at the moment though due to a tournament already being underway. The player does try to leave but is confronted by Team Snaggem Grunts, who reveal that Wes is actually an ex-member of the team, and was one of their top enforcers before betraying them for their own reasons, which are never directly stated. I really like that they didn't go into specifics on why, since it gives the player room to come up with their own conclusions. It could be that they had a change of heart on what they were doing, it could be that they just wanted the stolen snack machine for themselves, but regardless of the reason, Rui says that they don't care about Wes's past, which is a very sweet little moment between the two. Our next objective is to find some Pokeballs, which strangely aren't sold in the Ore region due to the lack of wild Pokemon, but it just so happens that the keeper of the outskirts stand has some that he gives us, and he will start to sell them to us going forward. Going back into Escade's house, we find the two thugs that tried to kidnap Rui from before, and the man, the myth, the legend, Mirror B, but just as soon as we're graced with his presence, he leaves for Pyrite and has his grunts deal with us. Thanks to Rui's unique ability though, she can tell shadow Pokemon apart from normal ones, and with our ability to catch other trainers' Pokemon, our mission becomes clear. Capture and purify every shadow Pokemon and destroy the organization producing them. Now, unlike my previous Pokemon videos, I won't be doing a Nuzlocke challenge for this game, but I will catch every shadow Pokemon available, starting with the Shadow Makuhita. After this battle, there's also a fun little twist on choosing a starter Pokemon. Yes, Umbreon and Espeon are technically the starters for this game, but there's also 3 grunts wearing green, red and blue, corresponding with Bayleaf, Quilava and Croconaw respectively. You do get the chance to catch the other 2 much later on in the game, but I went with Quilava for this run. Shadow Pokemon only start out with their own move, Shadow Rush, a pretty strong move akin to something like Double Edge, a physical move that causes recoil damage, but it can hit any Pokemon regardless of typing. However, the more you open the door to their heart, the more old moves it gains. With the grunts and Fnac taken care of, it's time to move to the aforementioned Pyrite Town, although we do pass a construction site which isn't important for now, but remember this area for later. The town instantly gives off a grungy, unwelcoming vibe. The police, well, barring the chief, are just beyond incompetent, and crime is running wild. And in an interaction with the trainer, Rui just orders us to beat the shit out of them for teasing her about dating Wes, which I really like. I just find it funny. Dual Square is a bunch of shadow Pokemon for us to catch, and this is annoying to me because I like to save before battling when you can get a shadow Pokemon if possible, but you can only save specifically with PCs, and it can sometimes be a bit of a trek to get to one. Like I say, it's not a deal breaker, but it's a little bit annoying. When I was talking about this place being shady, I don't think anything shows this better than the hotel, since you have to pay to heal. It's an amount that's next to nothing, but I think it's the fact you have to pay anything in the first place that's notable for this. And this is unrelated, but when I was a kid, I genuinely did take what the roller skater trainer said literally when you win, and I was always like, how does he know that when it will be next week? Like, I don't know how this game keeps track of the time. In any case, after talking to a muscle man about the stadium and hey man, don't let anyone tell you that you can't cry if you don't want to. You let it all out, my guy. We find out that a challenge is already in progress at the stadium. However, Kale, the guy standing by the entrance of town, might be able to give us a lead, and after winning in a battle he tells us about how he got his shadow Pokemon as a reward for winning the stadium challenge. At the moment, Duking, basically the law enforcer of the town, is under Cypher's control for unknown reasons, so his friend Silver tries to do something about it by stealing a gear and shutting down the stadium, which we retrieve in the construction site. Since we did this, we can now enter the stadium challenge. These are 4 back-to-back battles, and I have to say, Colosseum has a pretty good soundtrack overall, but the semi-final theme is an absolute banger, easily top 5 songs in this game. After winning, a Cypher member escorts us to a nearby building they're operating from. It turns out the reason why Duking hasn't done anything about the rampant crime is that Mirror B has his Pokemon hostage. On the desk is an Iron File, a recurring item written by an antagonist the player leads later on, and it works really well to further tutorialize Shadow Pokemon mechanics and world building at the same time. When we get to the top of the building, we find Silver and more of Mirror B's goons as he's retreated into a nearby cave with Duking's Pokemon Plusle still as his hostage. Although we quickly reach him after getting through the maze-like cave, and he did mention he would make Plusle get along with him, it's always been like my headcanon that he just has him and his Pokemon dance at other Pokemon until they join him, which is just a beautiful mental image. All higher ranked opponents like an admin such as Mirror B employ specific battle strategies. In this instance he uses a combination of Leech Seed, Rain Dance and with Ludicolo's ability that heals him in the rain, to stall and keep his Pokemon's health up, but it's not enough, and when he loses Naruto runs out the cave. I love this man. Wes and Rui rescue Plusle, driving Cypher out of town and making Pyrite a bit more peaceful. We even have Plusle join the party. Now by this point the player has caught a bunch of shadow Pokemon, but the question is, how do they get returned to their former selves? The answer may lie north according to Fatine the fortune teller, who seems to be in the right as this reminds Rui that this is where her grandfather lives, Agate Village. It contrasts greatly with every other area visited so far, a friendly foresty place where mostly the elderly live, and this old woman that says this mighty Anna is a boyfriend. Oh no, oh dear, let's move on from that, no thanks. With Cypher causing trouble again in the Relic Forest, we drive off Scrub, yes, this man is named Scrub, who is here for the Relic Stone, which is the answer for purifying shadow Pokemon. After doing this, Duking emails us to tell us that Cypher are attacking the nearby Mound Battle, so I purified all the Pokemon I could before heading over, and the theme of Relic Forest is by far my favourite song in the soundtrack. It is absolutely beautiful. And before getting to the admin leading this particular operation, you need to fight 10 trainers first, which I did. But I went off and did a couple more extra battles since a few of the Pokemon on my team were very close to being purified, but doing this is still a very time consuming process, far too long in my opinion, with Pokemon in the latter half of the game being especially guilty of this. Oh, and while doing this, I found a Shadow Mischievous that I totally forgot about back in Pyrite, so I caught it and evolved the Shadow Skinplume into Jumpluff, which I just recently figured this out as well. Hoppip, Skipplume, Jumpluff. hop, skip, and jump. That is mental. So for the next battle against the admin, I'm going to be keeping Jumpluff in my party. So we find Cypher Admin Takeem attempting to negotiate with Vander, who's the leader of Mount Battle, and when that doesn't work, he just bugs the fucker out. I guess that's what they call aggressive negotiations. Thank you, Attack of the Clones, very cool. His attitude and design is pretty imposing though, and having him have a Shadow Entei on his team just ups that intimidation factor even more. And when he's beaten, he like super jumps away to God knows where, because this looks like a long drop. I don't know how he survives that. When he does leave though, we get a disc that we can't use yet, but it will become extremely helpful in time. And for saving Mount Battle, Vander gives West the Time Flute, which can instantly purify a Pokemon regardless of how much Shadow meter they have, summoning in Celebi to calm them down. There's really only a couple in the whole game, and I kinda wish there was like 2 or 3 more. But one thing I love is that if you've already used the Time Flute before talking to Rue's granddad, he gives this kind of passive-aggressive dialogue about letting him know first, which just tickled me. Back in Pyrite Town, the 2 girls that were working for Mirror B have been arrested, so you need to unlock their cell and go in to get the key for the elevator in their old building, and the fact you can just open up every cell door is so fucking funny to me, like just letting every criminal go and the police just not reacting to it whatsoever. So this elevator leads to the Under, and if Pyrite felt shady, the Under feels super shady. The theme instantly gives the feeling of, you are not supposed to be here, and almost as soon as we enter, a broadcast is played on TV from someone called Lady Venus. She says there's spies in the area, of course referring to us, and whilst this is going on we get tasked with delivering some spare machine parts to some kids, who somehow know who we are. They're essentially their own little resistance against Cypher. Silver gets mistaken for a spy and locked away. Oh my god, he really just loves getting himself in trouble, doesn't he? We've got to set him free, but to be fair to him, he does give us the disc that we need to reach Venus' studio, since the one that Takeem dropped doesn't do so. The progenitor of the E-Girl uses a strategy of having one Pokemon use the tracks and the other to cause a status ailment, and has a Shadow Suicune. After we beat her live on TwitchTV.com, she tries to make an escape and we have to give chase. Just like what an average E-Girl fan would do if they got within reach of one they like. Venus gets to take the lift, but we're stuck with going the long way, down the stairs and fighting some more trainers along the way. Also, I picked this up and it's really weird, right, but the one female bodybuilder trainer's Pokemon throw-in animation is like weirdly smooth compared to the other generic trainer types. I don't know why. Is this just me? Was it just like a graphical thing? I hope it's not just me. I hope it's not just me going mental. Venus escapes into a train we get on, and she runs out the other door and runs back for the specific purpose of mocking you before she takes off again, which directly leads to her downfall, and I guess I gotta respect how petty she is, that she put mocking you above keeping a criminal organization safe in the priority list, and some Cypher members blow up a portion of their own laboratory just so we can't get there, and man, I gotta respect the dedication. Hey, I might seriously injure myself and colleagues I'm presumably close to and cause serious damage to the place I work for. Hey, if you can't get there, well... I ended up finding another Time Flute in the Under, so I used it on Suicune. It just feels right having Celebi come down to restore the legendaries. Despite Cypher's best efforts, we can now get into the Shadow Pokemon Lab, which we could access earlier. However, without the keycard Venus drop, the player can't really do anything. As the player goes deeper and deeper into the lab, it gets put on high alert, which admittedly doesn't change anything, but I still think it's cool. It adds a little bit of atmosphere, you know? To get to the one in charge of the Pokemon Lab, you have to solve a little puzzle revolving around DNA. You find 3 DNA samples around the base and have to use a machine to show what Pokemon it belongs to, and input the corresponding Pokemon on the keypad to unlock the last door. It's simple and fun, but Scrub's back and I still cannot get over that this man's name is Scrub. Anyway, getting to the end of the lab, Ein stands before us, the writer of the Ein files we find and the scientist mainly behind the actual creation of Shadow Pokemon. He's pretty tricky, using Rain Dance to increase the accuracy of hard-hitting thunder moves, whilst also having a Pokemon that has Lightning Rod as an ability, keeping his water Pokemon safe from electric attacks, and he also has a Shadow Raikou. In the lab, the player will find a data ROM that needs to be given to... what's his name? The epic hacker child in the Under... that's his name now. The data's been wiped, so he's got to log into the mainframe to recover it, but the construction site has finally been finished, so let's check out the newly formed Realgam Tower in the meantime. A guard tells us that we're expected, which is mighty suspicious, and what do you know, all the Cypher admins are inside and eager for a rematch, with similar strategies but stronger teams than their first fights, which also serves as another chance to catch their shadow Pokemon if you missed any, which is fine, I have no problem with that. But what I do have a problem with is why did they take away Mirror B's theme from his fight? That is an unforgivable crime. I also found it pretty ironic I happened to be using his Shadow Sudowoodo just out of pure coincidence in his fight, so I got the idea of using the snagged Pokemon against them in each admin battle to mix things up. Deeper into the tower, an NPC gives some really interesting insight into how this tower was even built. A lot of the funding apparently comes from Shadow Pokemon battles themselves, which makes a lot of sense in terms of Cypher's whole operation. They create Shadow Pokemon, they're funded for battles with them, resulting in stronger ones being made more frequently, presumably making more money. We also get to rematch the Grunt he chose to fight at the start of the game, although he doesn't have any Shadow Pokemon to take. The guard next to the elevator takes us up higher and turns out to be Silver in disguise, who tells us this is where Cypher's boss is, and none other than Nazco, the Tesco value Sephiroth, is here to greet us, just to tell us that we're gonna fight him later? It's a bit pointless, mate, alright. He takes an elevator even further up to the arena, but the other one comes down first and we find Gonzap, who is the leader of Team Snag'em. It's never been stated outright so far, but he fully confirms Cypher and Snag'em are connected, Cypher giving them the Snag Machine so they could steal Pokemon and give to them. We defeat him and catch his Shadow Skarmory before finally reaching the battle arena, and we have to compete in a tournament before getting to battle Nazco. Like other tournaments, we fight 4 trainer battles, all with Shadow Pokemon consecutively before Nazco finally reveals himself with a banger of a theme song, which they don't use in his actual battle. It's just pure silence other than the sounds of the Pokemon and the crowd who might be chanting his name. I'm not sure, it's really hard to tell if they're actually saying anything, but it does give off a kinda eerie vibe. Even after kicking his ass, he does not want to give in, but he's stopped by someone he calls Sir. That's weird, isn't he the boss? No, the Jolly Mare Escade is actually in charge of the Cypher escapade, and a plot twist I'm sure no one saw coming. I say this sarcastically, but I'm pretty sure as a kid, this plot twist actually did shock me. They went as far as to give him an evil version once he reveals himself as Evis of his theme song, and in actuality he's just an evil little goblin man. His battle track is a certified bop though, and it's really fucking tough, but I do like if you lose on Nazco or Evis, you get right back to the battle with them and you don't have to fight the other 4 trainers before them all over again, which is really good because that would have been beyond tedious. But we do manage to take down Evis, even using the Master Ball given by Rui's granddad to catch his ultimate Shadow Pokemon, a Tyranitar. The police and other characters we've met across the game show up to arrest Evis, but he has a getaway helicopter en route to escape. That is until fucking Ho-Oh comes in clutch and blows up the helicopter, ending Cypher's plan and the main story of Pokémon Colosseum. The credits might be rolling, but there's still a decent bit of post-game to get through, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the side modes available before getting into that. So, completely disconnected from the single-player story is the Battle Now feature, which is exactly as it sounds, having a random team of Pokemon available changing depending on the difficulty. Easy tending to have the first form starters and baby Pokemon, going up to Ultimate having final form starters and legendaries in a single or double battle format, very akin to the free battle mode from the Pokemon Stadium games. The only other notable piece of side content is the Mount Battle Challenge. This is a 100 trainer gauntlet and is required if you want to have Ho-Oh, along with purifying every single Shadow Pokemon in the game. Way too much work for not enough reward in my opinion. Absolutely fuck that. These sound absolutely god-awful to do and would take up so much time. So yeah, that's my little rant ending. With that out of the way, let's take a look at the post-game. After the credits, we pick back up in the outskirts stand with an email. The data ROM that we gave to the hacker child has been cracked, with the list of some more shadow Pokemon out and about. However, there's not much to go on right now, but Kale, yeah, remember him? The guy at the start of Pyrite, says that he battled someone with a shadow Pokemon, but won't give that info up without a fight. We win and he reveals that they're in a Team Snaggem base, and a really cool thing that I noticed was that after the fight with Evers, enemies start actually using items that boost stats, like X attacks for example. No other trainer before him in NASCAR did that, and it's really cool to see this carried on in the post game. We eventually find Bruno, yes that's his name, and it just instantly makes me think of Bruno's default costume in Eyes of Heaven. Like I remember a lot of people calling him Bruno when that initial design was revealed. Next we get to the location of Verde. He's in the Shadow Pokemon lab, and there's just specific areas in the lab and Snaggem's base where Cypher Grunts just constantly fall from the ceiling, and like I get why they did this. It's actually pretty good design wise, so you can catch any Shadow Pokemon that you might have missed, but the mental image of all these grunts just hiding in the ceiling and jumping from the roof of the building is just so funny to me. Once we get Shadow Bailey from Verde, we get more Shadow Pokemon in the Snaggem building, which I don't know why these trainers aren't there when we visit the first time, but whatever. And we do get a rematch against Gonzap. Beating him gives the D-Disc for the Under, and we get a picture of Mirabee going down under. My man, let's go, let's get down. Because it's the down disc. Please laugh. On the floor is some steel teeth, and you can give them to the old man who's been speaking the language of the Ancient Ones this whole game, and he'll start talking in real people talk, and give us the L disc, which is only used to get an amulet coin. Neat. So, D-Disc, it takes the player to the deep, a Colosseum that's under the Under. That feels so weird to say. Mirabee is the final Colosseum boss, and after beating him we get an email about someone called the Deep King. And you get more emails about him after winning a stadium challenge, but all the Cypher admins have made a return, not just Mirabee. So you have to do the stadium challenge again and again to take on the Deep King, meaning you have to do this full battle challenge 5 times. Oh man, that's just excessive. Like, it's cool you get to see every Cypher admin's fully formed team, but they really should have just made this as an optional boss. I do find it interesting that the Deep King uses the admin theme, but it never goes into the second half. Maybe because he's not a real part of Cypher, I guess that's why. But we've gone through all these challenges for a Shuckle. I like Shuckle, but come on. After this ordeal, we get an email from the guy who runs around Phoenix City Fountain that says that we attacked him. What? There's even a photo of us attacking him with a Togetic, but the person who sends this is the Hacker Kid, and the email is so, like, accusatory. I thought him and Wes were meant to be friends at this point. Like, there's no chance that these photos aren't real? What the fuck? He later asks us to watch TV, and it shows video footage of what appears to be Wes with the mentioned Shadow Togetic. And at Outskirts Stand, a character that looks exactly like Wes serves to be the final battle, and I really like the setup, but I feel like it could have had more time to set in, and that Imposter West could have had a more similar team to ours. He does have a couple that we can get, but some like Almaldo for example are impossible to get in this game. It would have gone way further to add to the someone exactly like you setup they were going for, but oh well. Once you defeat him, we get to see his real appearance. He's a Cypher peon named Fane, who had disguised himself as us and attacked people in order to get revenge for taking down the organisation he worked for and tried to ruin Wes's reputation. But with a camera crew filming the battle, this plan is quickly put to rest, ending the post-game of Pokémon Colosseum. This game has issues, don't get me wrong. Only being allowed to save at PCs, how long it can take to purify Shadow Pokemon, and some questionable difficulty spikes can make this game frustrating to come back to. But when I'm playing it in the moment, it just feels like none of that matters. This game is just so fucking unique in the Pokemon series. There's no other game quite like it. It's such a breath of fresh air, and when putting all that under consideration, I couldn't name any other title as my favorite Pokemon game.